Hey there, it's Amira, and if you're new to my channel, Boston is my creator space where I design brand identities, share my illustration work, and create some cool graffiti designs. So without further ado, let's jump into this video. Today we're designing the visual identity of a bold soda brand named Bubble Rush. It's a passion project, by the way, so we're gonna have a lot of fun here. I'll first start by creating an artboard. 4 artboards actually, because we're going to create some mess in the next few minutes. Next, using the text tool, I'll type Bubble Rush. Then I'll press on Ctrl+D and drag this text down several times to try out several fonts and compare between them. I've downloaded certain fonts that might resemble the brand personality, so we're going to try them all out. I like the V and the U of this first font, the E of this one too. I actually love these 3 fonts, so I'll pull them out here somewhere. At this point, I keep customizing the font. I like the personality of this font overall. It matches the vision I have of Bubble Rush, but there are certain letters that I want to adjust. So now I'll start playing around with the letters until I create a logo that resonates best with this brand. I wasn't aware of this while designing, but in editing this video or watching this screen recording for a million times, I find it hilarious the absorbed number of times I zoom in and out of the screen like crazy. Not to mention the back and forth rocking I do in real life. But I guess these are the quirks of being a designer. That's who we are, folks. Next, I'm going to try out several concepts for the composition. This one can be a little tricky because I don't want to settle for a stacked logo, but rather add some motion to it. Bubble Rush is not an energy drink, by the way, but we should put in consideration how lively and fun this brand is. And this is where I thought of making Rush italicized and add the trail effect with the letters being blown off on both sides, extending some splatters. Okay, so here's the final concept. I made the text art at the bottom and added 2 strokes on top for the highlights. Now this is just a black and white version, and now we're going to pick the color palette. So I'm using this website to help me create the basic palette, and basically this palette should contain just the main flavors of Bubble Rush, which is watermelon and kiwi flavor. So I'll go for salmon pink shade and tea green for now. I'm also planning on making another episode of this video where I design the packaging for more flavors, so comment down below if you'd love to see that. I'll meanwhile pick the colors for the other flavors, grape berry fusion and pineapple mango splash. Next, I'm using this site called the Color Palette Studio that has this awesome color contrast checker tool. Basically, you just drop the color codes and it gives you a contrast score. The higher the contrast score, the more readable your logo is against its contrasting background color. This site offers more than that. It has a color palette service that builds you the entire brand palette in just one click. You simply upload your mood board or inspo images and it turns them into a brand palette. Another great tool is a whole brand visualizer service where you import the brand colors and it helps you visualize a brand, be it an Instagram page, website mockups, a landing page, or a sign up form. Such tools are valuable to cut down our long working hours. So if you find this any helpful to you, you can use my discount code BOSSON and get 10% off your purchases. So here are the final color versions. Now that we settled on the logo, let's start designing some illustrations. So I usually keep the illustration stage before designing the packaging so that I give myself some space to let my ideas flow in. So right here in a new artboard, I'm casually spelling out my ideas. Please ignore my handwriting. We'll obviously have to illustrate fruits depicting each flavor. I'll focus on the watermelon kiwi flavor in this video. I'm thinking of designing some retro elements because that's part of the brand style. So a lightning bolt, sparkling stars, confetti, or just some few ideas that came to my mind. Also, I want to add some volume to the packaging by overlapping some illustrations. I don't have a clear concept honestly at this moment, but I know I'll figure it out once I start designing the packaging. Also, I want to point out that brainstorming ideas is a whole long process I take before illustrating. But to keep this video short, I'm filming just a quick moment where I'm thinking out loud with you. But in real life, it's definitely more than that. Now let's start designing those cute illustrations. I'm using the brush tool at a lower opacity and I'll start by illustrating some watermelon and kiwi slices. This looks like cheese, so I'll start all over again. Now obviously this is a rough sketch and I'll go over it using the pen tool. Someone once left me a comment asking me why I use a brush tool for sketching, and I was like, wait, y'all don't use a brush tool? Honestly, I can't decide why I prefer the brush tool over the pencil tool in sketching. I mean, it does make more sense to use a pencil tool, but I somehow love the brush tool. Once I finished sketching, I started outlining them using the pen tool. The curvature tool also comes in handy in designing those kiwi slices. After creating those outlines, I use the smooth pencil tool to smoothen out any odd curves. Now let's start lining the packaging. In a new file, I'm creating an artboard with the dimensions of the 12-ounce can label. I created another artboard too for a sim can. It'd be the same design essentially, but I'll have to adjust that design on the sim version. I'll start by copying the illustration outlines and the logo and paste them here in the packaging artboard. For now, I'll keep the background as green. Again, for this video, we'll design the packaging of the watermelon kiwi flavor, so I'll stick to its color palette when designing this packaging. So at the center, I want to draw an X collab sign between the kiwi and the watermelon slices. I want to make it a little energetic, so I'll extend the ends on one side like it's splashing out or something. I want to add some 3D-ish retro vibe too, so I'll simply copy that X and paste it at the back. Now I'm using the paint bucket tool to fill in the watermelon. Usually when I'm designing, I find it hard to settle on the colors, so throughout this video you will find me editing those colors like every other minute. For the kiwi slice, I'm using the gradient tool, keeping the color at the center more deviated towards yellowish green. To add some texture to the peel, I clicked on the Draw Inside option and simply scribbled some strokes. I also played with the opacity to add some textured feel to it. I'll duplicate these illustrations since we'll be using them throughout the packaging too. Now I want to draw symmetrical wavy strokes on either side of the logo, and in order to do this, I'll click on Object, Repeat, and then Mirror. This way, whatever stroke I'll draw on the left is symmetrically duplicated on the other side. So, you might be thinking, why am I even drawing these strokes randomly? And my idea is to draw some illustrations on both sides, carried along the juice, ending in waves, like it's a seashore, technically, except that it's watermelon kiwi sea. I'm actually having trouble in helping you visualize this, but you will see how it smoothly unfolds in the next few minutes. So I started drawing those swirls. Now I want to create some confetti, so I'm using the line tool and the zigzag transform option. I was thinking of drawing a transparent jug pouring over some kind of magical juice swirling downwards. To draw some cute stars, I'm using the star tool, and the reason why we're adding these stars, the lightning bolt and the confetti, is to evoke some retro vibe. Fast forward in this video, I changed the background to dark green, then outlined and added the fill color to my illustrations. I drew some stacked watermelon, other cubes being sliced, and a watermelon at the bottom. And I'll duplicate some of these elements to the other side. Now on the right, I'll draw some worlds too, but this time I want to keep most of them green, so that the right side is more about the kiwi flavor and the left is the British pink for watermelon one. I'll use these kiwi slices we traced earlier and give them some color, that kiwi gradient I used previously. Next, I simply type down the nutrition facts. Again, it's a passion project, so please ignore whatever I type. I actually use AI to generate them along with the ingredients. And voila, here's the final packaging. I added some tweaks at last, ones that I didn't film unfortunately. And I find it interesting how such minor adjustments made it flow more smoothly. Now that we're done with the packaging design, my next step would be creating the mockups. Comment down below if you'd love to see how I create them in my next videos. If you made it so far in this video, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to watch more of these videos. And thank you so much for watching.